First light over the waters of eastern Maine. On the ledges are marks left by the first people. These marks are called petroglyphs. The first people were hunters of moose, caribou, and deer. They were fishers of the ocean and rivers. They were gatherers of shellfish, berries, roots, and herbs. They moved with the seasons. But even the most experienced hunter does not rely on skills alone. The hunter without luck, without the goodwill of the game he seeks, misses his prey. The spirits of the game do not enter one who is full of himself. The hunter must make himself empty, open to the winds. He fasts. He abstains from his wife. In a sweat lodge, he cleans himself of all odor. He goes to Bare Rock, a place of spirits. A rock visited by birds, washed by deep water. The hunter prays for help, half sleeps, dreams, listens for significant sound. Not all who seek spirits will find help. Some dreamers were favored. Those who dreamed and went on to serve their people were called Medowlins, after the Algonquin word for drum or hollow body. We call these visionaries shamans. When game was scarce and people starved, the Medowlins could invoke the spirits in the dark of night. The Medowlin slipped into a small circular structure of poles. The sides were covered, and the top was open. The people gathered around outside, listening, waiting. They could hear the drum singing from within. Within his narrow hut, his spirit canoe, the Medowlin voyaged, seeking among dreams, voices, the song that will bring help for his people. The people saw the Medowlin's tent shake violently and heard many voices. With each shaking of the tent, another spirit entered. Then, just before dawn, there was silence. The Medellin emerged and reported what the spirits had said. Let the people take heart. Shake off despair, and go hunt again. The Medellin is also a hunter. If the spirits are on his side, moose will be there. Maine's petroglyphs are the work of shamans who spoke a variety of tongues related to the Algonquian family of languages. These languages were spoken from Nova Scotia to the western Great Lakes and northward through Canada to Hudson's Bay. The petroglyphs of Maine were made over a 3,000-year period. Images may be painted on the rock, some of which have survived. An image may be pecked into the rock using a sharp, hard stone. The rock itself is a house, a lodge open to spirit beings, a lodge open to the shaman in his journey to the spirits. The images mark a voyage undertaken and a successful return. The petroglyphs use imagery handed down from the shaman elder to the shaman initiate. During the invasion of Europeans, some shamans saw that their way of life was shattered. They shared their secrets with a few non-native people, in trust that their heritage would be documented. These records tell us that the petroglyphs are metaphors of the spirit quest and serve as signs used by the shamans to help memorize the chants. The imagery was potent, avoided by the uninitiated. The petroglyphs changed over time, as the ideas of the people who made them changed. During the light of midday, the petroglyphs are nearly invisible. In the first light of day, or in the evening, the images leap out from the shadowed rock and startle whoever passes by. After Europeans invaded, the petroglyphs were identified as marks of the devil, or as doodles done by native people waiting for the tide to change. The images were not studied as expressions of ideas, as clues to the thinking of Maine's first people. The Gulf of Maine waters were once warmer and shallower than they are today. people could gather oysters that thrived in the estuaries. Middens of broken shells are all that remain of this once bountiful harvest. Warm waters, offshore, held swordfish, hunted using large dugout canoes. Beginning about 5,000 years ago, sea level rise brought in colder waters. By 4,000 years ago, the waters of the Gulf of Maine became more like they are today. As the waters cooled, swordfish rarely ventured in from offshore. Oysters could not spawn. Cold-tolerant conifer forests increased. An older way of life was abandoned. For those living on the coast, a slowing of sea level rise, cooler water, and a greater tidal range meant more sources of marine foods. The mudflats grew large and became rich with clams and mussels, attracting migrating waterfowl. The people fished offshore, landing cod and halibut weighing over 100 pounds. Storm-driven tides continued, washing off sand and gravel left by the glaciers on the shoreline. Only the largest boulders were left on the ledges. It was on these ledges that the petroglyphs were made. In Machias Bay, the vertical range of the tide is about 17 feet. The lowest petroglyphs appear about 4 feet below high tide mark. These ledges would have been cleared of all glacial debris about 3,000 years ago. Petroglyphs have not been found on exposed ledges below this level. As higher ledges closer to shore were exposed, new petroglyphs were made. But the new petroglyphs were different than those further from shore. The result is a progression of images that change over time.